Family is important. It is necessary for the survival of humanity. If there is no family, the cultural survival of humanity is in danger. Whether you like it or not, it's the basis. Such were the words of Pope Francis at the radio of Rio de Janeiro a few years back. Look serious. So sorry for being French and not starting with a joke. My presentation today will be in three parts. Family and society. Where do we stand? Why do we need family policies? And why does the Church intervene? Second part. Where do we get teaching of the Church regarding family policies? And what do we get from it? And number three, what can be done? Do we still have a chance? I will start with the example of Europe. Where do we stand? Why Europe? Because this is the country or the union of countries I know the best. Second, because it started recently, 60 years back, after the tremendous two world wars. And third, because it started after these wars with the intention of being an example for the rest of the world. Yes, European Union has achieved some targets, such peace, which was not so easy. We should always remind that in this continent we had invented world wars. So peace is a success. Welcoming the countries from East Europe is a success. Spreading structural funds to rebuild those countries is a success. And also the student program Erasmus is a success. But regarding the human bilan from the point of view of the families, is it a success? So sorry, again, no jokes, some bad figures. European Union today, 600 million inhabitants, is 26 unemployed, which means fathers and mothers depossessed from the proudness of feeding their family out of their work. European Union today is 55 millions of people living alone. And God said, it is not good that man should be alone. It is 1 million divorces per year. That means 40 to 50 million people concerned in 10 years. 7,200 families will break down during these 2 days of the symposium. And as the figures are very stubborn, it's also 1 million abortions. European Union is a demographic suicide. The fertility rate average is 1.5. We would need more than 2 to regenerate the generations. We are facing an aging society. In 2050, 1 European out of 3 will be over 65 in age, and only 1 in 7 will be below 15. So, nevertheless, 75% of children below 18 live with their 2 parents. All surveys, and specifically Global Youth Survey, have shown that the very first desire of young people is to get married, to find the right person, and to stay a long life with her and feeding their children, welcoming children. This argument is also used by Pope Francis. He says very openly in Amoris Laetitia that this is the main reason why the Church cannot renounce her teaching on family and marriage, because this is the wish of the youth. And he refers to Romans 2, the natural law which is written in the deep heart of each and every of us. Nevertheless, again, the society recognized the family as the vital cell of society. This has been solemnly declared in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. It is also in the UNESCO Convention of the Rights of Children, and it is again in the European Social Charter. Family is the fundamental element of society and thus entitled to appropriate support from the society and from the state. But it is still the vital cell of the society. Or is it not yet already the individual who take place? Let's check a little bit in the human rights, and specifically in the decisions from the European Court of Human Rights, which herself declares that it is her mission to have an evolutive interpretation of the Convention. Then the door is open. And here comes the Church, who considers the Christian family as the first community called to spread the gospel. The second half of 20th century has shown the triumph of human rights, shown as the true philosophy, universal, superior to specific religions. Many in the Church have thought that it was the triumph of Christianism, rationalized, secularized, and then truly universal and almost scientific. It is a triumph of Christianism, yes, but as a philosophy to be shared with humanism, yes, but in a general context of challenging the religions. When in the Pastoral Constitution Gaudium et Spes, 1965, the Catholic Church had solemnly proclaimed the human rights according to the gospel which has been given to her, she has immediately accompanied it with serious reserves, later on revealed as fully justified. Quote, "The Church recognizes the dynamism which gives a new move to these rights, but such move must be filled in with the spirit of the gospel and protected against wrong autonomy." It added, "We are exposed to the temptation to estimate that our personal rights are only fully maintained when we get rid of any norm coming from the divine law. But following this route, human dignity, far from being saved, will vanish and disappear." Pope John Paul II will come back to this issue in Splendor Veritatis. That's chapter 100 to 102. In the political domain, all good principles have their first roots, as well as urgent necessity, the transcendent value of the person and moral requirements. When one does not respect them, the basis of political conviviality is missing, and any social life is progressively compromised, threatened, and condemned to disintegration. Second part, where do we get a teaching from the Church regarding family policies? And what is this teaching? After the Synod on the Family in 1981 was proclaimed the apostolic exhortation Familiaris Consortio, many times referred to today, which is probably the basic document regarding this teaching. At the end of the Synod, the bishops expressed the wish that should be proclaimed a charter of the rights of the family. And this has a clear link with the Charter of Human Rights, the Convention of Human Rights, and its possible deviations. Presented by the Holy See to all persons, institutions, and authorities concerned with the mission of the family in today's world. This Charter of the Rights of the Family has a preamble, which is always the most interesting part of the document, because it explains why you do this document. Considering that the rights of the person, even though they are expressed as rights of the individual, have a fundamental social dimension which finds an innate and vital expression in the family. The family is based on marriage, that intimate union of life in complementarity between a man and a woman, which is constituted in the freely contracted and publicly expressed indissoluble bond of matrimony and is open to the transmission of life. The family, a natural society, exists prior to the state or any other community and possesses inherent rights which are inalienable. Of course, no state would exist if some families had not wanted it. That's very clear. The family constitutes much more than a juridical, social, and economic unit, a community of love and solidarity, which is uniquely suited to teach and transmit cultural, ethical, social, spiritual, and religious values essential for the development and well-being of its own members and of society. The family and society, which have mutually linked by vital and organic bonds, have a complementarity function in the defense and advancements of the good of every person and of humanity. The Catholic Church, aware that the good of the person, of society, and of the Church herself passes by way of the family, has always held it part of her mission to proclaim to all the plan of God instilled in human nature concerning marriage and the family, to promote these two institutions and to defend them against all those who attack them. So let's go to some of these articles. The first and the second one deal with marriage. And that's a big mistake of the European statements today, that they forget to define the object of their policy. And when you do not define the object of your policy, you have absolutely no chance to reach any target. So let's go to the definitions. Article 1. All persons have the right to the free choice of their state of life, and thus to marry and establish a family or to remain single. Simple remark on that. This is also in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The interest is that you establish a clear link between marriage and establish a family. This was in the Convention of Human Rights. This is in the Charter. But there was such a slippage in the Convention of Human Rights that anyone understands now the marriage as an individual right. But marriage is nothing but an individual right, because it is linked to the right of establishing a family. So it is a social right, which is not given to an individual, it's given to a couple to establish a family. In this article, it explains also the institutional value of marriage should be upheld by the public authorities. The situation of non-married couples must not be placed on the same level as marriage, duly contracted. We do not say it should not exist. It is not the same level. And as we know, dealing with different topics with same solutions is an injustice. Article 2. Marriage cannot be contracted except by free and full consent, duly expressed by the spouses. The next articles will deal with life. The spouses have the inalienable right to found a family, and to decide on the spacing of birth and the number of children to be born, taking into full consideration their duties toward themselves, their children already born, the family and society, in a just hierarchy of values and in accordance with the objective moral order, which excludes recourse to contraception, sterilization, and abortion. And it explains and adds, in international relations, economic aid for the advancement of peoples must not be conditioned on acceptance of programs of contraception, sterilization, or abortion. This was in 1983. So it was a clear anticipation on what we see now. Article 4 on life. Human life must be respected and protected absolutely from the moment of conception. Abortion is a direct violation of the fundamental right to life of the human being. This fundamental right to life of the human being is also in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, or was. Respect the dignity of the human being excludes all experimental manipulation or exploitation of the human embryo. Now we switch to education. Article 5. Since they have conferred life on their children, parents have the original, primary, and inalienable right to educate them. Hence, they must be acknowledged as the first and foremost educators of their children. Parents have the right to educate their children in conformity with their moral and religious convictions, taking into account the cultural traditions of the family which favor the good and the dignity of the child. They should also receive from society the necessary aid and assistance to perform their education role properly. Parents have the right to freely choose schools or other means necessary to educate their children in keeping with their convictions. Public authorities must ensure that public subsidies are so allocated that parents have truly free to exercise this right without incurring unjust burdens. Parents should not have to sustain directly or indirectly extra charges which would deny or unjustly limit the exercise of this freedom. The rights of parents are violated when a compulsory system of education is imposed by the state from which all religious formation is excluded. By the way, you see how actual is this text? It's unbelievable. Article 6 deals with the development of the family. Politically, it's extremely important to my view. The family has the right to exist and to progress as a family. To exist and to progress, to grow as a family. Public authorities must respect and foster the dignity, lawful independence, privacy, integrity, and stability of every family. Divorce attacks the very institution of marriage and of the family. The extended family system, where it exists, should be held in esteem and help to carry out better its traditional role of solidarity and mutual assistance, while at the same time respecting the rights of the nuclear family and the personal dignity of each member. I switched Article 7 because we will be short of time. Article 8, which is to be linked with the 6 on the development. The family has the right to exercise its social and political function in the construction of society. This means family participates in the construction of the society and has a specific role. Family has the right to form associations with other families and institutions in order to fulfill the family's roles suitably and effectively, as well as to protect the rights, foster the good, and represent the interests of the family. On the economic, social, juridical, and cultural levels, the rightful role of families and family associations must be recognized in the planning and development of programs which touch on family life. So all this shows that what the Pope or the bishops who wrote this charter thought what family policy is. Means that it's a large family policy. It's not only some limited support or fundings or allowances. No, it's the large family policy which considers all aspects in the society, the legal aspects, the cultural aspects, and then the economic one. So let's now, for the last 3 articles, come to the economy. Families have the right to be able to rely on an adequate family policy, this time economic one, on the part of public authorities in the juridical, economical, social, and fiscal domains, without any discrimination whatsoever. Families have the right to economic conditions which assure them a standard of living appropriate to their dignity and full development. There should not be impeded from acquiring and maintaining private possessions, which would favor stable family life. The laws concerning inheritance of transmission of property must respect the needs and rights of family members. The families have the right to measures in the social domain which take into account their needs, especially in the event of the premature deaths of one or both parents, of the abandonment of one of the spouses, of accident, and so on and so on. Article 10, about work. Families have a right to a social and economic order in which the organization of work permits the members to live together and doesn't hinder the unity, well-being, health, and the stability of the family, while offering also the possibility of wholesome recreation. The work of the mother in the home must be recognized and respected because of its value for the family and for the society. Article 10, roof. The family has the right to decent housing, fitting for family life, and commensurate to the number of the members in a physical environment that provides the basic services for the life of the family and the community. And Article 12, just to make sure that this text was already prophetic, the families of migrants have the right to the same protection and as that accorded to other families. Refugees have the right to the assistance of public authorities and international organizations in facilitating the reunion of their families. Pope Francis resumed this charter, calling about the fundamental needs of the family. A family needs a roof, family needs a work, family needs time, and family needs an environment safe and protected, sane and protected. So now what can be done? And do we have a chance? In the text that preceded this Charter of the Rights of the Family, John Paul II gave the tasks of the Christian family, the main tasks of the Christian family, that's Familiaris Consortio. Form a community of persons, service of life, participation to the development of society, participation to the life and mission of the Church. This is the task of each and every Christian family. And John Paul II, still in Familiaris Consortio, this is chapter 44, says, "These are the families who at first must ensure that the laws and institutions of the state do not only refrain from harming the rights and duties of the family, but support them and protect them positively. In this respect," he adds, "it is necessary that the families have an awareness even more accurate that they are the protagonists of what we call family policy and assume the responsibility of transforming the society. Otherwise, they will be the first victims of what they have merely considered with indifference." So what has to be done? Simply help each and every family to exert these tasks. And in the same way as it is not good that man should be alone, it is also not good that family should be alone. That's why we need to create family associations, which were recommended in the Charter, as many as we can. Everywhere there should be one in each parish, one in each village, so that people, families, have a place to exchange, to discuss, to compare, to get friendly together, to support each other in case of crisis. and to help solving problems. The family associations in France 100 years back started with very concrete and simple things. The people in the countries used to come together to buy one washing machine for 10 families, and then the washing machine was going from home to home during the week. And then from this standpoint, they started to go to more complex, detailed issue problems. And today, many of them are concentrated on this difficult but absolutely urgent necessity of getting an appropriate teaching to the children, education for the children regarding affection and sexual relationship. Knowing the needs, the family associations can enter in dialogue with the political authorities. They can do it locally because a significant portion of family policies have to be driven at the local stage. They have to do it at the national level and also at the international level, because now many of international organizations and laws have a significant impact on all our lives. Enter in the dialogue with the responsible of the states and international institutions. What to do? To promote the rights of the family, to express their needs, to reveal the virtues of the family, which is a hidden treasure that needs to be unveiled because of its virtues, because of its potentials. Many politicians know what are the costs resulting for family breakdowns, but they don't dare to say. So we need to tell them and to show them. Finally, show that the family, far from being a crisis case in a modern world, is a modern solution for a world in crisis. We have everything we need. We have the text, we have the families, we have the love in the family. So what else? We have a massive construction weapon, and that's prayer. Jesus said, he did not say, without me you will achieve only limited goals. No, he said you will do nothing. And Saint Therese from Lisieux said, me, Therese alone, I can do nothing. Therese with Jesus, who can do a lot, and Therese with Jesus and a little money, who have no limits. So we have to enter into this dialogue. If we fail, because we may fail, it will be a missed appointment. But family will resist. Family has already resisted to many totalitarianisms, including the worst of them, communism. Family will survive because it is the heart of God's project. God said so. We heard it from Genesis. To his image and his likeness, which means that in return, God is a family, is a trinity, as you said. And both will be one flesh. Are we sure we fully understand? It is a work for everybody. But not only God said so, but he did it, as Pope Francis revealed. When God visited his people, he did not come as a general in an army or as a prince in a castle. No, he came as a baby in a family. And if you allow me a little joke at the end of this presentation, man and woman are those without whom God himself would not be able to have children. And as he likes it, he will not forgive. He will never give up his project. Thank you.